Alrighty. Hopefully our sound is here, and it is. And for many of you who don't yet know I'm on here, I'm going to place out a quick email. There is so much going on in the world. It's hard to keep up with it, right? So let's see if we can get something out to all of you quickly. Today's podcast is going to be all about meditation and the importance of it, especially in today's world. As we know, those wonderful brothers are walking for peace, and they're included in my meditation as well today. So let me find. Well, anyway, this is an opportunity to be here. I'm glad everything is working so I can be on live today because we just have a lot that's going on in the world. Here we go. So, one of the things we want to, that we hope for, is that we can experience greater peace in the world. And right now, we're all over the place. We all are seeking some means to be able to experience that, have it, be a part of it. It's like that song, Be a Part of New York. Well, we see that there are demonstrations happening all over the world. And so we are all hoping that we can see peace at some point. And what we have to be able to do, of course, is overcome all of this dramatic stuff that's designed to push you aside sometimes. And of course, it's not easy for any one of us because we are constantly feeling like we need to cover our heads, run for cover. And this is not easy. This is not an easy time, but it is because of a lot of things that are being triggered within us. These are the things that drive us sometimes into reaching up through ourselves and acknowledging who we are truly as spiritual divine energy forms with greater intelligence and higher consciousness. But here we are in the pool of energy that is poisonous. And we all are striving to be better, right? And this is what we all are in search of. We all are in search of peace. We all are seeking that peace. We all need that peace. And we're all hoping that we can receive that peace, establish that peace, live it in a way where we are always in receiving mode. And we're all seeking to be in that receiving mode, right? We all want it. That's for sure. We all want to be living in peace. And without that peace, we don't have much. So I'm going to let you all see this at the same time. I hope that we all can benefit from it at the same time. So here we go. Now, I don't know who's on here with me. I hope you are. I'm just realizing I left a name out, and I want to make sure people know I'm here. Okay, I hope you all are doing well and can find wellness within yourself. I should have set this email up earlier, but didn't have a chance to do it, so I'm doing it now. And I'm hoping that I get it done properly. So let me just send that out real quick. Let me bounce back over to here. There's Holly Hemmett. Yeah, Holly. How you doing, brother? How's everything? Everything. Let me reach up. Sometimes I wish I had a spotlight. Ah, there's so much to be done as usual, and time waits for no one, right? So, welcome and greetings to Clear Blue Radiance. I am the originator and the host of this podcast. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm a spiritual counselor and meditation teacher for over 40 plus, 45 plus years. I would say close to 50, even before I understood that I was giving out spiritual counseling. And that's when, back in the earlier days, you're doing everything for free, right? Or you're at the psychic fair, or somebody calls you up, or you go over to someone's house and you be present in the moment. And so, as a spiritual counselor, and a very active meditation teacher. Meditation is my heart. Yes, I'm a numerologist. Yes, I can teach tarot, how to read tarot cards. I've been doing that for a long time and have my own systematic way of teaching that. Yes, I like I said, numerology, handwriting analysis, an assortment of things. And so this is something that we all can definitely agree with. And many of you know that I teach my creative pathwork meditation series every Saturday morning at Resonant Essentials here, which is Resonant Essentials Esoteric School of Metaphysics here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, located at 2703 Broad Bent Parkway, Northeast, Suite J, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87107. So I've been affiliated with Resident Essentials since 2018. That's when I taught my first class. In fact, it was an all day workshop that I taught, where I taught people how to use pendulums. I taught people what numerology is about. I taught people meditation. I gave guided meditation, did an assortment of things, even gave out some simplified Tai Chi Kong, Qigong exercises using Tai Chi movements, just the basics. And we had a glorious day. We didn't have a big crowd, but it was at least about, I think, total of 5 or 6 of us, including myself. So that's big enough. And it was all day, literally from like 10 o'clock in the morning all the way to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So these are things that I've been accustomed to doing for some time. And I've been before Resident Essentials. I was, on Long Island. I was in New Jersey, and that was way back on Long Island in New York, starting in around 1974. So, there's a lot that I've been able to do. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I know that there's other people here. So, Holly Hemmett, thank you for joining me. And I'm going to thank in advance Melanie Hall, Corey, uh, who is Indigo Moon. Let me correct it. I'm going to thank Barbara Ewing. I'm going to thank Julie Tyndale, who will be in here. Golden Timeline, triple sevens, I think, and I think Island Paradise is the other individual. But anyway, I'm going to just thank people in advance for being supportive. Well, today's topic is let daily meditation be your incense. Let daily meditation be your incense. And so, one of the things about this is striving to utilize meditation, striving to have the experience of meditation, and hopefully without great stress. Now, it's definitely hard to sit in meditation, but I'm going to mention a few things that will give us some hope. We are in the midst of great change. We know that. And we have been in the midst of great change for a very, very, very long time. It's just not these last 3, 4 years. It's going way back to the time of harmonic convergence. Harmonic convergence was back in big celebration all over the world, especially in the USA in 1987. But it goes back even before then. So, whenever collective humanity is on a path to evolve in consciousness, to become more practical, to be more down to earth, to be more centered, to be more connected to Mother Earth and everything beyond this globe, because we're not the only intelligent beings in the universe. That was the great thing about the TV show Star Trek, right? They were always, the US was always, the Enterprise was always showing up in different parts of the galaxy, right? Different planets, different universes, and you got to meet these other beings. Some that look like them, some who that look drastically different from them. But Gene Roddenberry had an idea, and so we got a taste of understanding through the Star Trek series, through Battleship Galactica, through all these others, right? TV programs and movies, that there's something greater than ourselves. And then there was Whitley Strieber, who had his experience, greater than himself. He was the one that wrote, they had the movie, um, Something of the Third Kind. And now you got this guy, Dr. Stephen Greer. He talks about of the fourth and the fifth kind. So we are aware that we aren't the only beings alive and well to some extent or having issues with each other on this little tiny rock called the earth. So, and what we are going through is we are seeing all these devastating events happening daily. Remember when uh, the U.S. was involved with so called weapons of destruction with, what was it, Iran? Remember that? And then they began to televise the war 24/7 on the news. There was not one news channel that you could not get away with and seeing bombs and missiles exploding all over the place. Remember 9/11, 2001, when those planes hit 15 minutes apart, two of them hit 15 minutes apart, ground zero, as they call it, World Trade Center. And I remember having a cousin, older cousin, stockbroker, working way up there, I think in the second building. And his coworker, who had the booth next to him, called him on his cell phone just in time and said, Joseph, where are you right now? And my cousin Joseph said, older cousin, ex-Marine, goes, oh, I'm putting my key in my desk. He said, man, don't even do that. Something happened to the other building and you need to get out of there. Now, he didn't tell him a plane hit at that moment. He said, you just need to get out of there. Get back on the elevator and get down and hit the path train and get on the ferry and get back to New Jersey side. And when he got on that ferry, that's when his friend said, hey, we just witnessed on the news a airplane hitting the first tower. I remember that day being on Long Island in where I lived at that time in West Hempstead. And I was at the laundromat. And there was this Asian couple that ran the laundromat. Very nice people. Very, very, very cool. They loved everybody that came into their laundromat. And I ran into a friend that I used to play in a local R&B group. His mom and dad knew my mom and dad, and he was in the process of gathering his parents together to move them back to Las Vegas, Nevada, where he was living at that time. And he came in there. And here we were sitting down and seeing this breaking news of the first plane hitting, and then the other plane 15 minutes later or so hitting the second tower. And the weirdest thing about all of that was I had a dream back in July of 2001. A very startling dream that I could not figure out. I saw the corner. So all I saw was more like a triangle, which reminded me of an obelisk with the antenna going up. I didn't know what it was. It was like pitch black silhouette, light around it. And what I saw was a curved X coming from right to left, hitting the upper part of that building. Now, these buildings, I believe, were close to maybe 100 stories up, close to them. So I had to figure that plane hit that building around the 80th floor or whatever. Here's the thing: I saw no explosion. I just saw the horizontal part of the X go in, and I didn't know it was wings at the time. I just thought it was an X. But I had a very eerie feeling, and I kept having that dream several times during that first part of the month, and then witnessing it, and then realizing that's what I saw. And that dream wasn't a dream; it was a vision. I actually received it, and many other things came to me after that. Being able to do meditation after that, thinking about all my clients and friends and spiritual sisters who were um, airline stewardess, how they couldn't fly for over a month. They had to get counseling. And then we realized there was a plane that hit the Pentagon or near it. And of course, the people that jumped up to try to save, to try to take down the person who was going to pull the cord on themselves. So much going on. But why am I bringing this all up? Because I was still teaching meditation on Long Island a lot. I think three different locations, as well as teaching Tai Chi back then at two locations. One, a mental illness out clinic on, I think I did that on a Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. Thursday night, I was at a metaphysical bookshop, crystal shop. I was in the basement teaching meditation and Tai Chi. And then another location I had the pleasure of being at, I was teaching them every other weekend between the store, the metaphysical shop. I had to keep meditating. Had to keep working through emotional trauma because that was devastating watching that on TV. And then connecting that to the vision that I had 2 months prior to that. So there was a lot happening to me, a lot that I was experiencing. And how was I going to get through all of that? Because there's so much that we were being hit with. And how are we going to get through this is the thing. How are we going to allow ourselves to get through such a devastating time? And then we find ourselves being bombarded all the time with so much other stuff, right? You know what that other stuff is. You're paying bills, mortgage, rent. You're behind in bills, mortgage, and rent. You're fighting through illness and pressure. Maybe someone in your family, excuse me, maybe someone in your family is ill. You're trying to work through all of that and see all of that stuff going on in living color, as they say. So, today is let daily meditation be your incense. And see what overwhelms us, as we know. Also, want to thank Rose Jefferson when she gets here. I always want to be aware that, and Carol, all these names are coming up now. Uh, be aware that there's so much, and then the news media is bombarding us. And so, look, we got what? Laptop. First, we had a desktop, or we had a pager. Then we had a cell phone. There she is. We had a pager. Then we had a cell phone. You remember the cell phone with the wiggly wobbly antenna, right? If you bent that antenna, that was it. Or you had to screw it in. Or some people learned how to screw theirs in and then unscrew it so they wouldn't break it. And then you had what we have now. We get media all the time, social media, news media, political networks all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a handheld computer, a desktop, a laptop, a notebook, an iPad, a Kindle, receiving information. Do you remember at one point when we didn't have any of this? All we had was radio, TV. How many of you, well, I do, because I'm a little older than Holly and Rose. But I remember that the TV and news stations on TV, when TV was just black and white, and this was back in the 50s, around my time, I was born in 1952. TV was out there functioning in 1947. So people used to go to the movie theaters to see the news clips going real fast of their soldiers wherever they were at. But then eventually we got to see the news in your living room or in a barber shop, a beauty salon, uh, not a bank, but in most places where you can see where people congregated, restaurants, especially bars and cafes. You can see TV sets, black and white, so you can see what was going on in the world. Nonetheless, you're being bombarded. And the news media was not always showing you good stuff, it was showing you horrific scenes. We were being bombarded by that all the time, 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, seeing that stuff. Yes. And you all had the blue screen. In my day, what would happen was if the TV would go off by midnight, that you get the last bit of news at 10 or 11 p.m. at night for an hour. It would go off at midnight. That means none of the stations, a channel 2, which is CBS, channel 4, NBC, channel 5, which I forget it's which is the Fox network back then, I think was 5. And then you had channel 13, that was the public, and 13 and 21 were the public stations. Oh, yeah, the Peacock was channel 4. CBS had an eye. Symbolic now. CBS had the eye for CBS. It's supposed to be an eye on the news, but it was also Masonic oriented. And then channel 4 was the peacock, where you see the peacock's tail. All those are symbolisms. And what did channel 7 had? A circle with a 7. That reminds me of the Moorish Science Temple, the circle with the four gates and the 7 in it. All these things had a lot of symbolism that we weren't tuned into unless you were a Mason or an Eastern Star or Daughters of the Rainbow, which is Eastern Stars, young the youth. You didn't know this. 24/7 being stamped with symbolism, being stamped with secret society stuff, being stamped with political shenanigans in the news. And then occasionally you hear about someone getting a scholarship, someone going to college. You definitely hear the sports because we loved our baseball with the Franks in the stand, right? And then basketball was being telegraphed. And of course, boxing being telegraphed every Friday night on Channel 9. But here's the thing, I remember there was always a countdown, 1 minute before midnight. And yeah, the screen went from my day from being gray, grayish white, or silver white to blue. And you hear that boom, just like that. Didn't know that had an effect on you too. All the stations went out. Then all the stations came back on at 6 a.m. And they always showed you the head of a chieftain, an indigenous chieftain. They also showed you a countdown or a count up, a circle with a graph of some sort running around and the numbers in the middle, going 10, 9, 8, 7. When it hit 1 or 0, boom, everything was online. Same when you went off. But can you imagine? Beyond that, you just had magazines and newspapers, local newspapers, to try to keep up on the news and word of mouth. So the reason why I say all of this, because this has been a time throughout our lives where there's a great deal of energy constantly encroaching and usurping our peace daily. Have no rest. Now, here we know, I forgot when they got started on their walk. I don't know, it was the beginning of January, perhaps. In the midst of this, we are striving to live, to have as much peace as we can. Imagine those Buddhist monks. I think they started in Texas and they've been on this trek by foot, but they do have a police escort with them from state to state. They do have a medical truck that is with them. They do have an additional car. And then at one point, I saw there was some car that they had that got slammed into in the back. And then they had to sit on the side of the road because they were between cities and towns and they had to put up their tents and they had the fires going for them. And they have a dog that walks with them. I think I counted something like 13 to 16 monks. Some of them walking barefooted. Some of them walk with those socks that form the feet, those shoes. Some, thank goodness, got sneakers on, which I think would be a lot better than just walking on the ground. But they're trained to do that, those Buddhist monks. And they're walking with peace in their heart and peace in their mind, and they're radiating that. These locations that they go to have been set up ahead of time. They're just not pulled out of the thin blue air, thin blue sky. They have churches that they can stop at and rest their feet and relieve themselves and get nourishment. They have places where they can sleep overnight because they're just not walking 24 hours a day. They have to have some place where they could, get off of their feet. And there's one of the venerable monks who's not doing well and he's in a hospital. And so sometimes they bring him out so they can meet and see him. So he could be a part of this. And they got the dog, Aloka, that walks with them. That's a part of the journey. I saw something online where they didn't want the dog walking too long, so they put the dog in a van, uh, like a mobile unit that travels. And the dog was in there whimpering because the dog wanted to be outside with the monks. The dog didn't want to be inside. But can you imagine such a beautiful animal being able to have that kind of loving, unconditional energy being served to it as it serves others? The Buddhist monks on their walk of peace, and their destination is Washington, D.C. They use meditation to keep themselves calm, centered, and aware of the need for peace. I'm quite sure, yes, they're walking in silence, but I'm quite sure in some level they're doing things in an audible way. Then they have different parts and towns and cities where they could be in the center of a city or town where they can give a talk about what this experience is like to walk for peace for all of humanity, not just themselves, all of humanity. Can you imagine what it takes to have that level of discipline as well as dedication, as well as discipleship to carry out such a mission as that? That's pretty deep. And again, it's just not something done haphazardly. It's something that was planned, I'm quite sure, for a whole year that they were going to do this. And they spoke about amongst themselves the things that they would encounter, like someone driving by with a truck and blowing exhaust on them. Oh, hey, David, Lightwill, they are doing something that takes a lot of effort, a lot of focus. And the goal is to bring humanity together, to give peace, a living state of peace to humanity. And the people who show up along the different roadways and locations, you see the expression where they're giving out, scully caps, winter scully caps, scarves, flowers to them to help them along their journey. And what they do, they give a Buddhist prayer bead. And what I liked that I saw so much was the police force, the state troopers in the different areas were receiving those beads. We're kneeling and in prayer with them to receive peace. And these are the ones that get it, that understand that peace is necessary. Peace has to come into play. You cannot live a life without peace, just as much as we can't live a life without water or sunlight and moonlight and the earth and the plant and the herbs and everybody else in it. So we know that this is something that takes a great deal of effort, but it takes an open mind and an open heart and awareness. It takes a lot. And we know that that goal of a walk of peace is to bring people together. So we do know that there are thousands upon thousands of people worldwide and nationally who are for peace, who are for people coming together, who are for people getting rid of their differences and their biases. We know that this is possible. So we also know that things are going on designed to trigger people so that they don't come together. And also trigger people so that they don't open themselves up to be more cognizant of who they truly are. We are all built through divinity, a divine presence, the omnipresence. We all have the power within, omnipotence. We all have the ability to radiate this all powerful light that we have naturally, that we've had for eons. We're just trying to reestablish it, plant the seed in ourselves, and move forward. But we know that there are difficulties. People are always trying to interrupt, usurp your power as if they don't have enough of their own, trying to suck you, drain you of your energy because they don't have enough of their own. And the only reason why that's happening is because they want what you have. Why? Because they are not happy with themselves. They are not happy with themselves. They do not like themselves. They live in a state of misery, constant ego tripping, constant narcissistic behavior, and everything else that goes along with that. Constant anger, never have enough power. But the greater collective energy of humanity, who is in service to itself and in service to the planet, is definitely not just seeking, but learning now to become. That's why I wrote this book, Radiant Heart: Seven Amazing Pathways to Connect, Activate, and Communicate with Your Higher Self. I'm not the only one writing about the higher self. I'm not the only one who can channel my own higher self, listen to my higher self. I'm not the only one who can listen to their ancestors. We all can do this. But you imagine those monks walking for peace, for humanity, of the United States and beyond. They are trained just like a Shaolin monk and these old fashioned karate masters and the new ones too, to be present, to protect themselves, their loved ones, their families, their neighbors, their communities, but most of all, become one with divine source, divine providence. So, it is not easy for any one of us to establish peace, to be centered in peace, to remain in calmness in peace. It is not easy for any one of us to build and then maintain a daily practice without interruptions that are first external: TV set, radio, internet, constant news media bursts and blasts, political stuff, crime. All of that is external. And then we don't know what each other is going through internally. We don't know. We can assume, we might feel on some level, we might be empathic enough to know that your loved one, your partner, your neighbor, your auntie, your grandparent, your nephew, your nieces, your cousin, they're all going through stuff all the time. A lot of us wear a mask called this, and inside we're hiding. And then there's many of us who have worked on ourselves so much that you can look in our eyes or look in someone else's eyes and notice the energy is radiant. It's brilliant, it's bright. You could feel the unconditional love. You could feel the grace and the compassion. and the understanding and the states of gratitude that one can have for another. I'm happy to know that these Buddhist monks and everybody else is being monitored by a group of people that's working along with them at every part of this journey. And what the monks are showing us is to walk without fear, to walk without fear, to sing without fear, to chant without fear, to be present, just to be yourself in service to something much higher than yourself, and to become a living vessel for that higher energy to come down inside of you and be there on the earth with you. We're not alone. Those monks aren't alone. Can you imagine them walking that journey down highways, next to highways, through small towns and villages and major cities? And then they perk up because they could see a crowd that are also following them, that are also in the Buddhist meditations, that are also in the other forms of meditation, forming an aisle for them, going into a greater building, a greater hall, where they can give a talk, where they can consume food, restroom break, you name it, all without fear. You know, those of us who practice some form of meditation are contributing to the peace for collective humanity, and not just ourselves, our families, and our communities. So if you are engaged in doing some level of meditation, you are adding on. You're helping to multiply, to mushroom the energy that those monks are doing. And what the monks are doing, they're doing the same for you energetically. Meditation helps keep out the doubt and fear, sweeps out the illusions, melts the anger, and dissolves confusion in our lives. Let me repeat that. Meditation helps keep out the doubt and fear, sweeps out the illusions, melts the anger, and dissolves confusion in our lives. The daily use of meditation for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, at least for that length of times, will help alleviate all of the above. But we have to consistently use it. It takes discipline just to sit for 20 minutes. And I always tell people start with 5 minutes every day for 7 days. Eighth day, graduate that 5 to 10 minutes every day. Then, when you get to the 15th day, beyond that, it keeps going out. Your second batch of 7 days. Your third batch, by that time, you done jumped into close to 30 minutes. By the end of the month, you've probably gotten to 40 or 45 minutes or an hour. But the beauty is that you became disciplined so that you could do it. And there's all forms of meditation. Here are some of the things that meditation therefore helps. And then I'm going to give you a guided meditation. Let us use meditation to alleviate stress and anxiety, mental and physical. Clear our minds of worry and fear and doubt. Establish emotional balance and wellness, which then gives us balance on the physical plane through the physical body. Gain greater awareness and clarity so we can remember who we are. We're just not here to be aware, but to remember who we are, who we truly are. Raise our consciousness, our mundane, everyday consciousness, to an extraordinary height into the higher states of higher consciousness, and so much more. Let our daily meditation be our incense. So I'd like to, if you'd like to join me, if you can. And of course, when this downloads into the system for Resonant Essentials, Esoteric School of Metaphysics, Resonant Essentials YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it. Close your eyes if you can. Breathe deeply in through the nose and let it out through your mouth. Do it again. Inhale through your nose, let it out through your mouth. And then a third time. Just drop your shoulders down a bit. Sit up into your posture, but don't have to push your chest out. You just raise from your rib cage. Actually, it's from your spinal column that you're raising and pushing and then rolling back the shoulders. Now, I want you just to relax. I don't want you to think about anything right now. If some thoughts arise, just let them come up and let them dissipate. In other words, you're not going to entertain them. You might in the beginning, but not now. I want you to realize that wherever you are doing this meditation, you are in a sea of peace. You are in an arena of peace where everything in your environment works on your behalf for you and supports you. Just relax. I want you to go to a place in your mind, a remembrance, a specific memory or two that gave you such happiness, a state of bliss, a state of the enjoyment of receiving unconditional love and respect and honor, where you were being embraced by a loved one or by a close friend. Those of you who have cats, they rub themselves on you. Dogs, they lick you. Hey, this is what they do. Communicate. But I just want you to feel the presence of that remembrance that brought you greater joy. And I want you to relax into that joy. I want you to stay focused and aware of the center of your sternum. Behind there is your physical heart. The heart is a muscle, but the heart has an energy to it that gives off a very bright pinkish light that's flowing in a little subtleness of green, just like a pink rose. You might feel more comfortable with a lotus, but you understand that that is a part of you. Relax. Breathe evenly and gently. Do all the breathing as much as you can through the nasal passage. The Chinese have a way of placing the tip of the tongue just behind the two front teeth. And there's a channel of energy that runs up the spine from the tailbone all the way over through the crown, through the base of the skull, the crown, the top of your head, through the center of your hairline, down in the brow center, and goes all the way down into the base of the throat, then the center of the sternum, the heart, down into the solar plexus, through the navel, through the sacral chakra, and then the root. And this is a continuous flow. Not only is it flowing like that, big oval shape, it's also going up and down and around the spine. Two streams of light. Just keep breathing. Now, if you can, I want all of us to envision a waterfall cascading over the mountains, coming down the mountains, hitting every jagged place and smoothing it out, and coming to you and showering you like a huge umbrella. This waterfall is reminiscent of your higher self when you have total joy from your heart and in your memories in your brain. You see and feel the presence of light cascading up and down. What goes up, it's got to come down with gravity. But as it goes up, it flourishes, it cleans out, it pushes out stagnated energy. And as it comes down, it blesses you with the rain of positivity. So when you're ready, repeat to yourself, I am a blessing. Yes, I am. I am a blessing. Yes, I am. I am the personification of peace and wellness. And I live in harmony with everything and everyone. I am gratitude. And my gratitude allows me to receive bliss and blessings and greater understanding and greater wisdom and greater truths that are infinite for me, infinite for the highest good of all. I am encircled by divine grace. I'm protected by divine grace, and my life runs smoothly and easily. And everyone who I come in contact with receives the same, is reminded of the same, to be in alignment with truth, honesty, respect, gratitude, understanding, compassion, awareness, remembrance of peace. I just want you to hold that feeling of peace mushrooming up, coming through your heart, radiating from your heart, radiating up into your brain, coming out of your ears, your eyes. Peace. Pouring out of the pores. Peace. Out of the soles of your feet, palms of your hand. Peace. And as you begin to take in that resource of peace, know that all will be well with you for the rest of the day, tomorrow, weekend, forever. Allow yourself to use your meditation moments like incense, like sage. Know that you are blessed with the degrees, infinite degrees of compassion and understanding and self awareness, self realization, and remembrance of who you truly are. You are your higher self, have always been. You are strong. You are wise. You are understanding. You are brilliant, like a beacon light. You are unconditional love and grace in action, and attract even more. Thank you for joining me today. May you feel better right now. May you have a sense of inner calmness and external calmness. If you have any questions, Email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. That's iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. Let our daily meditation be our incense. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. I'd like to thank Holly Hemmett, Rose Jefferson, David Lightwell, Corey, who will probably be here later, Melanie will be here later, Barbara will be here later, Jackie may come through later, and so many others. Thank you again. Be well. Embrace yourself. Give yourself more peace, harmony, and happiness. And it's okay to receive infinitely. Take care, everybody. I hope to be live next week. You're welcome. I will be teaching classes online. Right now, I have 2 8-week online courses set and ready to go. So if you need more information, you can go to my Circle of Grace 1 page channel on YouTube, and you can see it there. The first one is Meeting Your Higher Self, which starts on Wednesday nights, March 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll go all the way up to May 20th. And then I start the second one on Wednesday, June the 3rd, and it runs through July 22nd. And that's experiencing my 5 rays of light of the Creative Path Work Meditation series. So you can find out about the early bird fees and the course and the standard course and have some type of way we can work that out for you to pay for it. Take care, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon.